Okay, we're going to do a fly today that's real popular here in Missouri, on Missouri trout streams. It's called the Mohair leech. And I do this fly, I take a few steps on this fly that's a little bit different than what a lot of guys do, so I'll illustrate those. You may want to add it into your stuff, because I've tried them in all different ways, and I've found this is about one of my favorite flies, and I've found this to be the best way for me to tie this fly, and I'll give some fishing tips on it as we go along. I tie them in a small size. I tie them in a number 12, 9672 mustad is the hook that I use for them, and I tie them on with a bead. This particular size, I use a eighth inch, not tungsten, just a regular 1/8 inch brass bead. And I found the tungsten to be just a bit too much for my purposes. If you're in some really fast water, maybe tungsten might be a better choice, but the tungsten for me is just too much. Put my bead on, and behind the bead I do 6-7 turns of 20 thousandths lead wire. You'd think that the bead and the lead would, and then I shove that lead up inside the bead. You'd think that the lead and the bead would equal as much, if not more weight, than just a tungsten bead, but oddly enough it doesn't. You can tie them like this, and they have a more natural fall. You tie them with a tungsten bead, and they plummet to the rock like a crappie jig. Start your thread just behind that lead wraps that you've shoved up under that bead, and that keeps it from sliding back down. Wrap back, give you a good thread base. For the tail, I like what's called chickaboo or grizzly marabou. That's the stuff I use for them. It has it's kind of a barred feather, and I don't know where it comes from. It's probably comes off the right butt cheek of a turkey or something, who knows. And I tie it just a little longer than the hook shank. I kind of measure it off like so. My dog is having a big time out there with a bone or something. Hey, cool it out there! Tie that in like that, and wrap your thread on forward. The reason I don't cut it off back there where I tied it off is you need to keep the fly uniform. The way you do that is by keeping that underbody the same. If I'd have just clipped it off back there, I'd have a hump back there. Okay. Then I take a strip of mohair yarn. This is olive, what they call leech yarn, mohair yarn. The color code on this that I use is Wapsies, LY089, which really doesn't mean anything, because one batch you get will be this color and the other batch will look the color of a Christmas tree. But the color that I look for is kind of a mossy color. If you was to reach down in the water and grab up a handful of moss and pull it up, that wet, slimy, mossy color, that's the color that I'm going for, the tone. And I'll give you a plug on Fort Bennett there, which they deserve for 99 cents for a pack of it. That's pretty good. If you used to buy that at big time fly tying outlet. It'd probably cost you 3 times that. Anyway, I tie it in right behind that lid and take it back, and I'll show you the reason I tie it in up there. Is that when I get back here to the bend of the hook, I pull my thread down and I take 3 turns around the thread with that mohair. And then I grab not the bobbin, but I'll grab the mohair and the thread together and wrap it forward. That helps keeps that mohair from sliding off the back. Pull those fibers back each time you come around. Pull those long scraggly mohair fibers to the rear as you go forward with it. When you get up here to your last turn, let that leech yarn untwist from the thread. Separate it from the thread and then tie it off. Then I grab and I pinch just a little bit of that mohair fuzzy stuff with the thread a little, and I kind of dub a little bit of that right on there for the head of it up here. Right behind, and then tie it off right behind your bead. Oh, I missed it. What have I done? I've botched it. I've tied a million of these, and I botched one on video. I fixed it though, I think. Good thread. Then I have this little thing. Everybody needs one of these. It is a popsicle stick with a piece of Velcro stuck on it. The stiff hook and loop stuff. And I fuzz that bad boy up real good like that. Pull those fibers back. You want those fibers going clear back as long or even longer than the tail. Like so. Pull those fibers back. Any of them that are longer than the tail, trim. And that is mohair leech. And this fly is a killer. It's actually a fish catching tool. You can dead drift it like a nymph, you can swing it like a leech, you can strip it like a leech, or figure 8 retrieve it in the slick water. As long as I've got this fly tied on the end of my tippet, I feel like I'm prepared to take on just about any type of water that I come across. Really, it's a good fish finding tool. You might go back after you locate some fish, and fish it with something else. But when I don't know what else to tie on, that mohair leech is what I start with. Either in this olive color, or if the water's dirty, I like kind of an amber. It's a ginger or amber color. But it's a doggone good fly, and tied the way that I do them, I think it's